Are you thinking about getting back into the workforce or maybe even pivoting to a new career entirely, but you're feeling overwhelmed or unsure about where to begin? You are not alone, and our guest on today's episode is here to help. Welcome to another episode of the Simply Retirement Podcast, where we want to empower and educate women to live your retirement on your terms. I'm your host, Eric Blake, practicing retirement planner with over 25 years of experience, founder of Blake Wealth Management, and I would not be the man I am today without the women in my life. Today's conversation is especially timely for many women I speak with, whether you've recently gone through a divorce or maybe widowed, and you're just simply looking to create more purpose, structure, and maybe even more income in retirement by getting back into the workforce or maybe even changing careers. Just recently, I had a conversation with a client, a teacher for many years. She's now in her early 60s. She is actually eligible for her retirement pension benefit from teaching. She's ready to leave the classroom, but she's not quite ready to stop working altogether. She wanted to stay active. She's looking for something meaningful in that next chapter, but she wasn't confident about what steps to take or how to get that job search started and make it as effective as possible, and really how to translate her previous experience into something that would resonate with employers outside of education. So if that sounds familiar to you, this episode is for you. You're going to walk away with actionable strategies to help you feel more confident, strategic, and supported as you explore your next professional chapter. For all the links and resources shared in this episode, you can visit the simplyretirementpodcast.com. And don't forget, if you have a question, a topic idea, or a specific retirement challenge you'd like to hear covered in an upcoming episode, you can visit the simplyretirementpodcast.com/askeric. Joining me today is Kristi Cline, founder and CEO of We Write It Now Resumes and Career Resources. Kristi, welcome to the Simply Retirement Podcast.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's a delight to be here with you.
I've been really looking forward to this. Actually, the story I just told, that was actually the reason I reached out to you and say, hey, I've got a client. Here's the situation she's dealing with. And we kind of went back and forth a little bit, scheduled a time to chat, and then hopefully be able to provide some resources for her. But I thought that would be a great podcast idea as well. And I was really enjoy having you on today. But if you would just start with your story, a little bit about your background and what led you to start We Write It Now.
Great question. And again, thank you so much for having me. I am seeing so many people struggle in this area, Eric. So when you approached me with this opportunity to share what I know, I was delighted because I really want to help those out there. It's so messy. And then when you throw in the age factor, it does get very tricky in how you position yourself. So I started We Write It Now back in 2019, right before the big shutdown of the world. So that was timely, not so much, but I started it out of my own failed job search attempt because I thought I knew what was needed. I mean, how difficult can it be? A strong resume, a good cover letter, and some networking, right? And if you haven't been in the job search space in the last 5 or 8 years, you have no idea how much it has changed. So when I learned that what I was doing was actually hurting me, it really gave me pause. And then I also found out that age was also part of my problem. And while I can fix the way that I present myself, I can't make myself get younger. So at that point, I had to decide, all right, now what? And I thought, I have all this valuable information that people need. Why can't I take that information and educate them on what it takes to get the interview, what it takes to pivot your career? So I spent all of 2020 basically getting really good at my craft and talking about what it takes on social media. I developed a following. And then when things started to open up, I started opening up my services again. And it's just been a fun, crazy, wild ride.
That's awesome. So I hate to start, with the bad news first strategy, but you work with women and professionals at many different stages of their careers. So for those that may be in their 50s and 60s, maybe returning to the workforce or making some type of big shift, maybe a career shift, what's one or two of the biggest mistakes that you do see people make?
Sure. So the biggest mistake that I see people make is just filling out an application and submitting a resume with no strategy, no intent, no plan. They think the more that I apply, that is going to increase my odds of getting an interview. And I'm here to dispel that because this isn't the lottery, right? You need to be intentional with who you're reaching out to. You need to be intentional with with what you're applying to, the positions that you're applying to. Otherwise, you're just going to get a whole bunch of rejections, and nobody wants that, So that's the first thing that I see people doing, is just staying behind their computer and hitting apply, 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 apply. And that's not a strategy. That is a task. It's an action item, but that's not a strategy. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I see, and I don't see this just with older job seekers, I see it with a lot of job seekers, regardless of the age, is they were taught that the resume should be a complete career history. And while your resume does include career history, it doesn't necessarily need to include your complete career history. And I'll just give you a quick example. If somebody is, let's just say 45, and they've been working since they were 21, your future employer doesn't care what you did when you were 21 years old, right? So a good rule of thumb is to go back about 15 years or so, give or take.
So when you think about then also this, let's talk about this career trend, because one of the things we talk about with clients a lot is when we're putting together a retirement plan, a lot of times it will include work. The definition of retirement has changed quite a bit, especially over the last several years. But if you're, maybe even you feel like your identity has been connected to your job for the last 20, 25, 30 years, or maybe just your goals have changed. What's some advice that you might give someone who's just trying to figure out how to reframe that previous experience for a different kind of role?
So first off, I highly encourage people to work with a coach that's in this space, because they are going to be the ones that can guide you with tasks and activities and strategies that actually move the needle. You know that you're working with somebody that understands the landscape, especially in 2024, 2025. So work with a professional that understands what it takes to make that pivot, to make that move. Let's just say if you don't have that ability to hire somebody, then my recommendation would be to first get really clear on your values, the culture that you need to be successful. Get clear on what your unique value proposition is. Like, what do you do better than most people? What do you love doing? What comes naturally to you? Start building a list of those qualities and those attributes. And then we can start to build the kind of role that would be a good fit for you. And it doesn't mean you have to stay in the same industry. There are all kinds of transferable skills. So if you want to shift industries, that's fine. You're not locked into it. I will say it might be a little bit more challenging to go into an industry that is completely different than your background. You might start with looking at adjacent industries. That might be an easier transition for you.
So can you give maybe an example of that might fit?
Okay, let me think. So if you're in marketing, I always go to marketing because that's my background also. In marketing, there's so many different buckets of marketing. There's content generation, there's digital marketing, there's marketing strategy, all these different marketings, right? So if you're in marketing, you could look at different veins of marketing, but also marketing teams and sales teams work together. So you could potentially look at doing something in sales using your marketing background. That's just kind of one of the ideas that I have off the top of my head. Also, if you're in sales, you could go do sales in another industry. Or if you're in communications, you could do communications in a different industry, because that would be transferable.
Okay. Now, one of the things I found really interesting, and we're connected on LinkedIn, but you talk about helping clients refine their resumes. That's actually one of the things I think you're known for, is helping refine resumes, their LinkedIn profiles, how important that LinkedIn profile can be.
Yes.
But being very intentional about that. What role does customization, or what you call targeting and tailoring, play in standing out during that job search?
Huge. It plays a huge role. I cannot stress that enough. And when you hear from people like myself, when we tell you, you need to be customizing every single version of your resume that goes out, a lot of people panic and they're like, oh, So I have to redo my whole resume? No, not at all. That's not what we're asking. Basically, when somebody suggests that you need to start tailoring or adjusting your resume, we're really only talking about the top third to the top half of your resume. So I'll just give you an example. You have your name, you have your contact information, and then you have what we call in resume world the headline. And that headline should be the name of the role that you're applying to. So if you're applying for a marketing director role, that's what the job posting lists. That's what your headline needs to be. So your headline can and should change with each application. Another example is what I like to do with my clients is I will throw out on the top third to the top half a couple of really big impacts that you've made. Something that when you leave an organization, what did people talk about that you did so well? Something really impressive. So I try to include one or two of those in the top third to the top half. But those examples, those contributions or impacts that you've made, they might change based on the requirements for the role. So if they're looking for somebody with strong experience in digital marketing with nonprofits, for example, then you would want that call out to reflect what you've done for nonprofits in the digital marketing space. So those sorts of things would be a part of your customization. And the next question that I get from people all the time is, how do I know what to customize? Like, how do I know what the company is looking for? And I have this strategy. It's called the mirroring strategy, like a mirror. So you look at the job posting, you review it, and you look at those qualifications and the skills and experience needed. And you go through and you can highlight those items and then make sure that if you have that experience, if you have that skill set, it needs to be reflected in your resume, throughout your resume, and most certainly in the top third to the top half.
One thing I was just thinking about, just because we talking about LinkedIn, thinking about, let's say maybe they've been out of the workforce for 10 years and they're looking to get back in, or somebody that's been in a career for 10 or more years. What's the biggest change that's happened in that over the last 10 years? And maybe even we need to go a shorter distance than that. I don't know.
5 years.
But just thinking about like the importance of LinkedIn as a platform for job search.
Right.
What's the biggest change that you've seen over the last 5 years then? Yeah. What's the biggest change?
I mean, the biggest change, gosh, I don't know. There's been so many, and LinkedIn is really great at adding all these features, but it also kind of throws us LinkedIn coaches into kind of a quandary because things change and we don't realize it. So one of the things that I think has been a very positive move, a positive shift for job seekers, especially those that are either in transition or have been out of the workspace for a while, is if you go into your professional experience section on your LinkedIn profile, and there is a place where you can add your professional experience, like your new role. But they've now added a section where you can add that you took time off for bereavement, for a career transition, if you had to take care of an elderly parent,
Okay.
if you're taking a career gap or a career break. The big thing that recruiters are looking for when it comes to gaps in your resume, because I know gaps in your resume is a very hot button right now. The recruiters are more accepting of these gaps as long as you can explain them. Because if you don't explain them, then they're left guessing. And what are they going to guess? They're going to guess that you're just hanging out, hoping that a good job is going to, drop into your lap. What they want to see is, what are you doing during this gap? And how do I know that you're not just sitting around being lazy? So I always advise people to put something meaningful during that time frame that you've been away. If you've had to care for an elderly parent, that goes on your resume. There are certainly some transferable skills that can come out of taking care of a parent or a loved one. Volunteering is such an overlooked piece that you can put into your resume that shows that, you know what, you're not just sitting at home on the couch watching TV. You're out amongst the people. You're having conversations. You are trying to find that next role while you're giving back to other organizations. So volunteering is a great thing that you can put on your resume as a placeholder until you land that next role.
And I think that's a huge point, and I'm glad we got to this. Is we've done a number of episodes on that caregiving piece, and thinking that the majority of our audience being women, that so often falls on the women's shoulders, where they've had to provide for or be the caregiver for a parent, or parents in many cases, where they've provided care for both parents, and it may be that they've been out of the workforce for 10 or 15 years. I think that's critical. That if it's come a time where that period unfortunately has ended in many cases, the parents pass away. Now you've got to figure out what's next. You're already going through the emotional component of losing a parent or the parents, and now you've got to try to find a job. I think that's a huge. I love that you've pointed that out. I don't know if there's anything else we can add to that might be helpful for specifically for caregivers or women who have filled that caregiver role, but putting that what you actually did as an enhancement to your resume, I think is huge.
Yeah. I mean, again, I just go back to recruiters want proof that you're going to be a hard worker, right? Because if you're not going to be a hard worker, they're not even going to bother with the interview. So if you can demonstrate what activities you're doing while you are searching for that next opportunity, that's going to help. Something else that I'd like to mention that will also help as a placeholder is back to LinkedIn. LinkedIn has LinkedIn Career Premium. And through Career Premium, they have this massive training database. So if you need to upskill in your particular area, they have a course for it. If you are transitioning into something new, they have a course for it. It's super robust. It is very affordable. I was just talking to a client last night and they said, yeah, I don't have this one tech skill, but it's really expensive to get the official certification. And so we popped on over to LinkedIn Premium to see if they offered training. And of course they do. Now, it's not the same as a robust 4 to 6 month certification program. It's a LinkedIn certification, right? So is it as strong as the other? No. But for people out there that may be short on funds, it's a really good option. Oh, and when you complete something like that, a course or a class on LinkedIn, it goes immediately to your LinkedIn profile. So recruiters see that you are taking these courses. They see that you are investing in making yourself a better candidate.
That's awesome. So one of the things, and you may not remember even saying this, but so you and I met originally through Divorce Transition Professionals, which is actually a networking group of professionals that focus on divorce. But one of the things you mentioned in you were sharing, you're doing your 10-minute presentation about what you do in your services. You talked about for people who may be searching for a job, the importance of like podcasts, listening to podcasts, catching up on terminology, things that you just made that are more maybe up to date.
Yes.
Podcast may be one example. Are there maybe 2 or 3 other maybe technology examples, but just things that people should do, women should do if they're looking for a job, if they're just not, LinkedIn's just not their thing for whatever reason? Is it networking? Is it podcasts? What are a few other technology platforms or just activities that they could partake in?
That's such a great question. Going back to networking and having these conversations, if you can join industry groups, industry associations, and start networking with people in those groups, that's obviously a very smart idea. LinkedIn does have some groups like that. They're hit or miss on LinkedIn, to be honest. Facebook has some groups like that. They're much better on Facebook. But also, if you go to meetup.com and just type in things that you're interested in, those would be great groups to join. It is going to be important that you can speak their language. So if you're uncomfortable with that, I do recommend doing some research on that industry. And I am in love with, and I hope this doesn't cause too many people to freak out, but I'm really in love with using AI to help you understand or learn more about a particular technology, industry, project, program, whatever. I view it as my personal assistant, and it's so great and so helpful. So one thing that you could do is you could just type into chat, hey, I'm pivoting into this new area of business. I want to go into supply chain management, but I don't know a lot about it. Can you tell me where I can sharpen my skills in that particular area? And it will give you ideas. And then you can say, oh, this is so great. Now I live in the Dallas area. Can you tell me what groups or associations I should join that are in the Dallas area that would also help support this transition for me? I mean, honestly, it's your best research assistant tool, and you can get a lot done out of the free version. I'll also mention that.
That's perfect. So I think that's a great opportunity now to step back a little bit and give you the chance to share some of the cool things you're doing. You've recently launched a new coaching package that includes some really powerful tools, mock interviews, job search intelligence, AI features.
Yes.
Can you walk us through what those look like and how they may be helping your clients?
This stuff is so good, Eric. When I saw it the first time, I was very hopeful. I was blown away, but also very hopeful and cautious. Then when I started working around in it and playing around with it and test driving it, I was just like, I can't believe this is such a great tool for my clients. So let me walk you through a couple of the features that I'm really obsessed with right now. So there's a coaching side and there's a client side. And from the coach's side, I can look up what they're looking to transition into, and I can give them the job outlook, how things look now, like real time. I get data that is scraped and pulled into this toolkit for me. And I can say, you know what, this is a great area to start playing around in. Or I know you mentioned you were interested in this, but the hiring is just not happening right now. So this might be tricky for you. So we have data-backed insights, which is just super beneficial. On the client side, you can upload your current resume. And then if you're applying to a particular job, all you do is copy and paste that job description into this spot, and it will review your resume. It will review the job posting, and it will create a custom cover letter based on that particular role, based on the pain points of that company. It can also create a brand new resume for you, and it can make those modifications for you, which that just blew me away. So that's resumes and cover letters. We talked about networking and the value of networking, especially as an older person. Can I say that? Somebody approaching 50 or above 50, it is going to be critical that you have conversations with people, because it is more likely, I think the number I saw was like 84% more likely to land an interview through a conversation.
Oh, wow.
Whereas people that were just focused on strictly cold outreach and cold applications, 2 to 3%. I mean, that's huge. So have conversations. All right. So this tool can track your conversations. So remember when I said be intentional with everything you do at this point. Be intentional with the people that you reach out to, that you want to connect to. When you find those people, you can load them in. You can just click on their profile, copy the URL, drop it into the tool, and it has this spreadsheet and it can track your conversations. It will prompt you, when do you want to talk to them? When is the scheduled call? What happened during that call? When are you supposed to follow up with them? How do you know them? All these filters. It's so robust. I just love it. It also gives you scripts, because a lot of times I talk to people, and when I share with them, you need to be reaching out and asking for discovery calls or coffee chats, they always come back with, well, what do I say? And I understand that. People that aren't used to doing that, it feels really uncomfortable. This platform gives you some suggested verbiage to use, which is fantastic. Okay, one more thing, the interview piece. So on LinkedIn in Career Premium, they had this mock interview tool, and it was great. And now it's gone. I know. I don't understand why. It's gone. The good news is my tool has it. So it gives you these options. And let me just show you, it's not just a mock interview tool. You enter the job posting that you're going to be interviewing for, and then it will generate 1 to 5 questions based on that information. And you can type in your response and it will give you feedback. But what is even better is if you do your response over audio in the mic, and then it can give you feedback specific to your tone, your pace, all kinds of things. The feedback is just, I can't even believe it works, but it works really well. So it can give you that kind of feedback. Eric, there are lots of other features. I don't want to bore your audience with everything else, but those are the ones that come to mind immediately and to me pack the most value.
And actually, we talked about different platforms and different things we can do. But actually, one of the things that you've kind of touched on already, but I think is important to talk about, and that's, one of the challenges I hear often is fear. Fear, whether it's fear of starting over, fear of rejection, feeling like maybe it's too late to do something different, to do something new. How do you coach your clients through that mindset?
That's interesting, Eric, because I do encounter that a lot. And really, it gets down to having some coaching sessions with me or with another coach. We help you reframe the way that you look at things. So instead of feeling like, oh, I'm 53 years old and I know I have stuff to give, but I just don't know how to present myself. That's what a coach will help you do, right? They will give you the confidence. They will give you the framework and get you comfortable with articulating your value.
Well, I think obviously if we were to outline the steps, what are the first 5 steps we should take? One of those I would probably suggest, or you would probably suggest, is to find a coach, hire a coach. But if there's a listener today thinking, I want to do something new, but I don't know where to start, what are one or two things that you feel like they should do today?
So I'm going to go back to the concept that actually propelled me to move forward and take action and launch my own business. And it's the concept of ikigai. Have you heard of that?
I have not, but share. It sounds interesting.
It's spelled Ikigai, ikigai. And I'll probably screw this up a little bit, but it's basically understanding what you love to do, what you're really good at, and finding people that need this, whatever this thing is, right? And then monetizing it, right? So my recommendation would be take some time to figure out what it is you love to do, what it is you do better than most people, find industries that need it, and try that out. Because the last thing I want you to do is spend the last 5 or 10 years of your professional life in a position that you're miserable in. Like, we want you in the zone. We want you doing things that you love to do. Absolutely. For people that you love to be around. And in order for that to happen, you have to really look at what are your values? What kind of culture do you like? Do you like big companies? Do you like small companies? Do you like individual contributor roles, or do you really like being a part of a team? What kind of companies interest you? So my advice, really, now that I'm thinking about it and saying it out loud, would be create a top 20 list. This is where you could start. Create a top 20 list of companies that you're curious about. This doesn't mean that you love them. It doesn't mean that you're going to apply. It just means you're going to explore. And when you build that list of your top 20, then you dig in on LinkedIn, look at the employees that are there and find commonalities. Who would you feel comfortable reaching out to because you share something in common? Maybe you went to the same college together. Maybe you live in the same town. Maybe you have several connections that are shared. Just look for those commonalities and then ask for a 10-minute coffee chat. Most people have time for 10 minutes, right? So be clear, be specific with your ask. Hey, I'm trying to break into XYZ company. I see you've been there for several years. I would just love 10 minutes of your time so I can learn what it's like to be there. I'd just like 10 minutes of your time to learn about what the culture is like there. Just be real specific with your ask.
I think that's great advice. And before we wrap up, I want to make sure that our listeners know how to connect with you, learn more about your services, your website, any information you'd like to share.
Sure, absolutely. So you can obviously connect with me on LinkedIn, Kristi Cline, with a K and a C. You can also find information about my services on wewriteitnow.com. And if you're interested in this coaching platform that I've got, and it's really cool, just reach out to me and I can send you, I created an 8-minute walkthrough so that you can see many of the features and you can determine if it's a good fit for you. And if it is, let's talk. Let's get you in that platform, because the clients that are in there right now, honestly, I can't believe I didn't share this. I've put 6 clients in there and 2 of them have already landed roles within 2 months. Now, I don't know if it's the platform or not. All I know is that they came to me, I helped them, and within 2 months of being on the platform and utilizing it, they've landed roles. So I think that's a testament to the value that it speaks. I certainly can't guarantee that, but I can guarantee that if you check it out and you like what you see, you'll be impressed if you play around with it for a month or so.
That's awesome.
And Eric, there is a freebie that I would like to offer to your listeners that I think would help. And it's called the Career Compass Tool. And it would be the first step in helping you gain clarity on what you want your next move to look like. So if your listeners want that, just reach out and say, hey, I heard you on Eric's podcast. I'd love that Career Compass Tool.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode, Kristi. This has been tremendously valuable. We will definitely share all the links and resources that you have provided in the show summary. That is it for today's episode. For all the links and resources mentioned today, including Kristi's website and resources, you can visit the simplyretirementpodcast.com. Don't forget to like, follow, and share our show. Until next time, please remember, retirement is not the end of the road. It is the start of a new journey.
That's it for today's episode of the Simply Retirement Podcast. We hope you found our insights and advice helpful in planning for a fulfilling retirement. Don't forget to take action on what you've learned today. Visit our website at blakewealthmanagement.com to learn more about our firm and review our Simply Retirement Roadmap process to get you on the right path to the retirement you deserve. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we look forward to helping you achieve your retirement goals. Remember, retirement is not the end of the road. It is the start of a new journey. So embrace it and make the most of it. Until next time, take care. Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security, or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analyses of Blake Wealth Management. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by Blake Wealth Management or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor, Blake Wealth Management, and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.